Hey guys, my name is Priscilla Elias, and since I've been getting quite a few messages from you asking me to go through my photo editing process, today I decided to show you the difference between a 1 minute versus a 1 hour portrait photo editing. Right after the intro. I recently took this photo right here, and I'll show you the difference between a basic editing and a full editing process. Usually when I offer portrait packages, I have both of them, and the truth is, many times people don't understand the value of a full edited photo, but depending on what I have in hand, it can take me from 30 minutes to 3 hours to make the perfect edit to one unique photo. So today I'll set 2 timers and we will see what I can do in 1 minute versus in 1 hour of a portrait photo editing. While you watch me do the magic, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel. It will help me a whole lot and I will be super whooper duper happy if you do that for me. So let's go! For the quick edit, I'm gonna work with Lightroom. And I'll basically fix light and color. So here we go. Add up some contrast, bring up the shadows, bring down the highlights, add up some clarity. I'll separate my curves into 3, then I'll bring down the midtones, bring up the shadows, bring up the midtones, bring up the highlights a little bit, brought this down too much. In color, bring the yellows to the orange tone, the greens to the yellowish. I'll bring the saturation to the greens down a little bit to the yellows as well. Bring up the oranges and luminance. I'll make the greens a little bit lighter. Let's bring the shadows a bit to the bluish side, and the highlights, let's make them a little warmer. Sharpen up my image a little bit. I'll mask it by pressing Option and bring in the mask up. So I'll just bring the sharpening up. Now I'll bring the blue primary over to the left side, more to orange tones. Before and after. I don't like the skin. The skin got a little bit too harsh because of the clarity I used. Since this is a very basic editing, I'm just gonna bring the clarity down again, just to the skin. So I'll just paint over the skin with the brush. And here's my clarity down to 100%. I can use it at 50 or whatever you think is best. Let's just bring up the exposure a little. I'll bring the saturation down a bit. I'll just crop the image and this is it. This is the 1 minute edit. Now if we have another 59 minutes, then we can do much more. So I'll just erase what I did to the skin because I'll do a better job with the skin in Photoshop. So I'll bring my photo to Photoshop. So just copy the settings from the photo I just edited to these 2 photos. So I have the same colors because later I want to use this to add up some leaves over here. So I'll have a more symmetrical image. But before we do that, let's start with the skin. Okay, so now we're in Photoshop. The first thing I'll do here is to fix the blemishes. So I'll create a layer, new layer. I'll select the healing brush tool and I'll make sure it's sampling all layers, or current and below. So it will apply the changes I do to the layers below. Let's fix the big imperfections. I'll fast forward some of this process so you don't have to be here for an hour watching me do this. And in order to sample the areas, you just select Option, then you click the area you want to replace the other, and then just paint over it. Okay, so let's see before and after. It already made a big deal of a change, so we'll just select both layers, Command J, Command E, then Command J again to duplicate this layer. So now I'll name this layer Color, and I'll name this layer Texture, and we'll do the frequency separation for the skin. I'll group these 3 layers into one group, and to do that I'll press Command G. Created a group. I'll rename it Skin Retouch. So now I'll select the color layer, go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, select the skin. I really want it to be really soft, really blurry, so I don't see any imperfections of the skin. And about here is just right. If I overdo it, there's no problem because I can always change the fill or the opacity, so I can decrease it later. So now I'll go to Texture Layer and I'll come here to Image, Apply Image. Here in Layer, I'll select Color, and in Blending, I'll select Subtract. Scale to Offset 128, and you already can see that it's doing something here. So what I'll do here is, instead of normal, I'll select Linear Light, and now I'll create a new layer and I'll place it between texture and color, and I'll name it Paint. I'll paint over the skin, so I'll be able to take these shadows that I don't like here away, because there were a couple of leaves influencing the tone of my skin and the shadows I have, and I want to get rid of some of those. So to do that, I'll come here to Brush Tool, right click the mouse, and you can select the size of the brush and the hardness. I want it really soft, but I want it like about this big. To do this paint, don't zoom in too much, otherwise you might not be able to see what you're actually doing. And here in Flow, I recommend you use from 3 to 8. I usually go around 5. And now what I'll do is I'll press Option and I'll click with the mouse over the area I want the color to be, and then I'll just paint over it. And every time I press Option, I'll sample a new area. I'll just bring it up real high so you can see what I'm actually doing. You see, if I like do it really high, it is doing something. But I really want it to be soft in a way I can control the change, and I can change it slowly and see what I'm actually getting. I don't want to have these parts of my eyes as dark as they are. I want them to be lighter, like this color. So I'll just sample this color and I'll go over here and I'll paint this till I get to the color. So I cannot make this part as light as this, otherwise it won't look natural. So I'll just sample areas that are more similar to the area and just paint over it, just as if it was an actual painting. So I'll go Command J, Command E. I'll create a new layer with all the changes we did, and I'll just use a plugin I have in order to have the skin a little bit more uniform. Duplicate this layer again. Final Skin. I'll name it Final Skin. And I'll get this layer under the Final Skin too. I'll go to Topaz Labs, Topaz Clean 3. Skin Even, and you see it makes my skin much softer. It's okay. Now since this is under this layer, I won't be able to see it unless I hide this one. But what I'll do is I'll erase the skin at this upper layer here. Not with 100% flow, maybe about 30%. And I won't use it in all areas, just in some areas that I think that are a little bit bleached or something like that, you know. Here where I can see my pores a little bigger, I'll apply it a little bit harder. And again, if I overdo this, it won't be a problem because I can always change the opacity here. So, whoops, not to this layer, to this layer. So, I'm not saying the method I use is the best method of editing, but I'm just showing you how I edit my photos, and I hope it helps you to edit yours. So I just zoomed in to see if we still have a natural skin look to this, and I do believe we do. I don't want to lose that, and I think this is pretty good to me. And here's the before it all, Here's the after so far, but I still want to do some minor upgrades. So I'll go to Clone Stamp tool, and now let's see. I'll be really picky with this now. So for example, this hair is something that bothers me, so I'll just sample the area by clicking Option and then clicking the area I want to replace with the new color or with a new sample. So Option, click here, and I want to replace this. This is something that takes quite some time, but in the end it makes the whole difference. If you're not taking a self-portrait, it's easier if you're just careful when you take a picture to see if those small details are out of place. But when you're taking a self-portrait, it's harder. You won't be able to see that, so you have to work a little bit harder in post. Still with the Clone Stamp tool, I'll just making some other small adjustments to the skin. Okay, so now let's fix this eyebrows. And to do that, I usually use the brush tool. I use it in like size 3 or something. It's very small, load about 30 to 60. Option, sample it, and then I'll paint some Okay, this is 30 minutes already, and I think we're pretty much halfway. Now, Command J, Command E, created a new layer. I'll take it out of the Skin and Retouch group, and I'll name it Mouth. What I want to do is to create better lines for the mouth. And I'll just use the brush tool, pass it to about 40%. I'll kind of paint the edges of the mouth with a color that's close to what you got here at the edges. Kind of like you did with the painting of the skin. So you will just have edgier edges. It's kind of like if you had hired someone to do your makeup, but you're actually doing it yourself in post-production. And I'll use some of the Clone Stamp tool again to have a little bit of the texture of the mouth. So let's see the before and after, before, after, before, after. And we can do the same on the outside here. So just paint over those areas that are a little bit faded to have a better limitation to the mouth, you know? Before, after, before, after. Now let's go to the eye. So I'll just create a new layer, and this I named eyes. Before I do the eyes, I'll just fix this as well. So I'll just use the Clone Stamp tool, just get this hair out of the way. Done. Good enough. Now for the eyes, I'll create a curve layer here. Create curves. I'll bring it up all the way. And yeah, I know it's messed up, but then I'll just click Command I and I inverted the layer. So whatever I paint with white over this curved layer, you see, I'll put it to 100% so you can see it. This is what happens. I bring the curves up, but I don't want it that much. I wanted it about 30%, maybe 20% opacity. And what I will do is first, I'll lighten it up a little. And then let's go to curves and make it really small, maybe 1. And I'll create the details for the eyes. So I'll just create this iris, and I'll just circle the eye like this. And here at the edges, you can always do it a little bit more. You can always paint in a little bit more. Let's see. Before, after. No, just change the color of the brush to black here. And then let's make it a little bit bigger. Opacity maybe 4%. And I'll soften some lines. I can, erase pretty much as I want. So it's pretty easy to adjust it. And if you want to paint more, you just go to white again and you keep doing it. So let's do the other eye, because to me that one is pretty good. Okay, now let's use the black to soften some areas. Opacity around 8. Here it's a darker area, so I don't want it to show that much. I'll create some stronger reflection. So for example, I can see the reflection of the light here. When the reflection's here, it lightens directly the opposite side of the eye. So if you can see the light here in your eye, then you can lighten this part up a little bit and it'll look natural. So if you see it up here, then I can lighten it up here and it should look natural. It looks pretty good to me. Let me just fix this hair over here. It's like right in the middle of my face. This looks good to me. So this is for the eyes. I'll just Command G and create a group for the eye. Now what I'll do is I'll add some leaves here. So I'll just take these extra photos I took from this wall because I thought that I might need that, and I'll just open them in Photoshop. I'll just copy this, boom, Command C, Command V, Command T, and then I can change the size of it. Whoops. I'll just lock this so it won't mess the proportions of it. And let's see. Oh, a little bit bigger. I can change the opacity here so I can see what's beneath it. And I just press enter and then just create a layer mask here. And I'll use the brush tool. I'll paint it in black so I can, well, I'm not erasing the areas, but it's like if I was. Look, let me change the opacity and flow to 100% so it can show you. This is my layer. You see, I erase it, but then if I want to get it back, then I paint it white and it's back here. So what's good about using the masking is that if you make a mistake, you can bring it up. So let's see. Okay, So now we have the leaves fixed, they're more symmetrical. Now I'll do the final step, that is the dodge and burn. So I'll just Command J, Command E to create a new layer with all of the adjustments I did, and I'll just call dodge and burn. To dodge and burn, I come to this dodge tool and burn tool. So first I'll do the burns. I'll just make some areas of my photos pop. I'll choose shadows. I'll make them darker. Exposure about 10%, that's good. And let's make this makeup pop a little bit more. A little bit more dark here, more dark here, more dark here. And I'll do some dodge to the highlights. I want to bring the eyes brighter, still a little brighter. That looks good. Let's set the exposure down a bit and let's make the lips pop a bit. Burn tool, mid-tones, exposure is good. Let's make this shadows pop a bit. Dodge, let's make some highlights to the hair. And let's do some dodge and burn to the leaves as well. Let's make them pop a bit. Some areas of it create more contrast, especially to the areas close to the face, because that's what we want to pop. Yeah, so just hit 1 hour. Usually I'll just save this, then I bring it back to Lightroom and I do some final adjustments here. Make it a little bit warmer. Bring the blacks down a bit. I'll also add some grain to my photo, because I really like this film look it gets when I do that. It adds some very nice texture to it without it, with it. Some people prefer not to have this. For a very long time I did not use it, but recently I've been using this a lot because I really like the special texture I get with this. I'll mess up with the curves a bit, but just a bit really. And this is it. So, what do you think? Do you think it's a big difference? Which one do you like better and why? If you would buy a photo session, which one would you go with? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your opinion about this. Also, please let me know if you like this video and if you would like to see more videos like this one. I hope you had some fun and I will see you in the next video. Ciao!